All right, Miami and Florida State. We got Florida State 14.5 point home favorites, 50 being the total here in this game. Very, very sluggish is the best way to describe it, Florida State against Pittsburgh. But a win is a win. It was pretty ugly, but they'll take it. And look, they did have Miami coming. I don't want to say a look ahead, but I think it was more just the elements. You're going to the cold weather. You know how those Florida kids, they don't love going to the Northeast in November. And I think we saw evidence of that with Florida State. Just a very sluggish performance, but they grinded it out. They won 24-7. The defense shut down the Pitt offense, which hasn't been good. And it took a while to get going on offense with Travis and the Seminoles offense, but eventually they got going and they did enough to get the job done. Didn't cover those 20.5 point favorites. So here's what I worry about for this game. I mean, Miami now, their season's kind of gone backward. They're now 6-3, the third loss against NC State on Saturday. Brutal effort, 6.5 point favorites. They get blown out, lose by 14. The offense was dreadful in that football game. Absolutely. And that's what you get from Tyler Van Dyke sometimes. That's what he's been his whole career here at Miami. He has these great little glimpses of brilliance and then an absolute stink bomb like he had against NC State with 173 passing yards and 3 interceptions in that game. So, yeah, Kong's Clips, great point. And shout out to everyone in the chat. We haven't mentioned you yet, but we should thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button. But great point, Kong's Clips, about the receivers, Coleman, Wilson, banged up for Florida State, questionable for this game. Will they be available? The thing that I get concerned about is I don't think I want to step in front of Florida State here, but I don't know if I'll be laying 14.5 because this feels like Notre Dame Clemson, where, the season's getting away from Miami, just like it was for Clemson, but Clemson had Notre Dame coming in, and it got Clemson riled up. Clemson showed up for that game against Notre Dame, and credit to them, even though the season's kind of been disappointing for them. I sense Miami is going to feel that way too. Like, our season's kind of getting away from us now, third loss last week, but this is Florida State. This is a chance to play spoiler. This is a rival. You get pumped up. So that's going to keep me off Florida State. I don't want Miami, but that thinking, that thought process in my mind is going to keep me off Florida State here. What do you think here, Conor?
Miami. I talked about it last week with Jimmy, because I just hear all these articles I read with Van Dyke's just not right. I think they got to go with Williams.
Yeah.
And I saw it last week. Van Dyke, they're like, he can't push the ball downfield.
No, and he can dunk everything. Go to Emory Williams at this point. You have to.
So he's got to go. I don't think you play him in this one. Yeah, the whole wide receiving core here for especially Wilson and Coleman are banged up for Florida State. This used to be the massive rivalry. Yeah, it still is. It's the Florida State. I think Florida State wins. I just don't know if I want to lay over 2 touchdowns. I don't know if I want Van Dyke. This is a wait and see too. I think you just throughout the week, I got to look at a few more things before I even look at a bet.
See who's at quarterback for Miami. See how healthy that receiving core is for Florida State. But that defense is nasty.
They should get to Miami, yeah. That defense should.
And the O-line is struggling again. What else is new for Miami the last few weeks as well? NC State doesn't have anything close to the defense that Florida State does, and they blew up the line of scrimmage repeatedly last week against Miami. So that's a concern going against that. Jared Verse is going to be an NFL pass rusher, this guy on Florida State's D-line. So you got to worry about him and a lot of good pass rushers and a lot of pressure up front from Florida State. So that's a concern for sure for Miami.